Welcome to our new dates for the first Tuesday of the month.
Yes, yes.
My wife is very grateful. She's picked up about half of this community committee for the Historical Society. And I'm glad everybody have a good New Year.
Very nice.
So, okay. I can look around and see we've got a quorum, and there are no other citizens here, so I will dispense with citizen comments and go right to Sylvia
Von
Von
Elba.
Alwak.
Yeah,
That's it?
that's it.
Oh,
Not as scary as it looks, really.
yes.
All
From
right.
the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, talking to us about old people.
Or young.
Kind of, kind of. Well, let me frame this a little bit. So, yeah, I'm Sylvia Von Aulock. I'm the Executive Director over at Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission. Londonderry is one of our communities. We have 14 communities in the region. I think the last time I spoke with this group was probably about, about 7 years ago when we were doing our age-friendly communities work
2018.
and talking about transportation then. But today, I've got two hats really that I wear here in Londonderry. I wear my executive director hat, but I also wear, I sort of serve as your town planner from time to time, since the planning department has, they're short-staffed, and I've been helping actually since Colleen is first left. So I help out in the planning department. And one of the things I'm working on with the planning department is your master plan. And so if, how many of you did the survey that on housing? And so almost everybody. And that's okay if you didn't, it's okay. So what I'm gonna go over tonight, the survey that we did, it started over the summer and it ended like the beginning of October. These are the results, but with the filter of people that are 65 and older. And what I've done here is we already had done a lot of analysis for all the participants. So you'll see a lot of comparison between all the participants and the 65 and older. And what I also threw in here were people that are 35 and younger from time to time. So you can really see the difference between the older adults and the younger adults. And I thought that would be of interest to everyone. All right, so, and if you have questions, don't wait to the end, just ask as we go so that we can have a conversation here. All right. So the first question, are you a Londonderry full-time resident, seasonal resident, business owner, or you're not a resident? The first part of all of these different tables, on the left will be all the age groups, and on the right, you'll see the 65%, sorry, 65 and older. And the first column is the percentage and the actual numbers. So, and I'll go back one, just so you know, there were 380 people who were 65 and older out of the 1,398 people who responded, or 27%. And of those, 106 older adults, they included their email address because they wanted to be kept involved. All right, so I wanted to cover that. So out of the 380 people, every time you'll see one of these, you can see down here, where's my mouse? Here we go. 379 people responded to this question. Some people, one person skipped the question.
Okay.
You'd never know why, but that happened. All right. So where do you live? That was a question. And again, here up in the left-hand corner, you can see the number who answered and the number who skipped. And then here's just a very simple depiction of who lives in North Londonderry. in Central, and in South, all right? And then you can see the actual numbers here if that's of interest to you. And also the comparison between all age groups and those who are 65 and older. So it's kind of, interestingly enough, very similar from the all age groups to 65 and older in Central, but it's a little bit different, North Londonderry to South Londonderry. And I'm going to guess it may be because of the multifamily housing available in South Londonderry. But that's a guess.
Oh, would you go back?
Yes.
Okay. Because the delta I see is, there's a larger number in South Londonderry of 65 plus, a larger percentage than the percentage in North Londonderry, where
It's-
it's about even.
It's, well, in North Londonderry, you see here, it's about 31% of all age groups, but it's down to 23. See what I'm saying? There are fewer older adults
In North Londonderry.
in North Londonderry.
But I think the reason for that may be that there are more 65 plus or 55 plus communities in South Londonderry.
Yes, that as well.
But that's how the town also, that's how the town built up, the buildup of Londonderry. The beginning started
Yeah.
north, so there's probably more people
That have aged in place.
aged in place there.
All right. So which of the following applies to you? I live with family and friends, I rent my home, I own my own home. And you can see by far, I own my own home. And that is pretty much the same across the board with all people who replied and then the older adults. So very similar here, you can see that, nothing staggering. So what is other? So other includes 55 plus communities, in-laws, people specifically talked about the Baldwin senior housing. They rent an apartment or they're in a continuing care retirement community. So that's what the other, and you can see that's the only category that's a little bit different, 3% different. And that's why, because obviously they're unique for older adults. What type of home do you live in? And you can see, again, we have mostly single family, but also apartments, condominiums, a couple people in manufactured townhomes and duplex. And in this case, the other, again, just like in the last one, is standalone units. Let me turn my phone off, it's gonna drive me nuts. Two family, multiple, mobile home, continuing care, active adult community, multifamily. One, I don't know how many people did this, but detached 4-car garage. It must have converted a garage.
Yes.
So when you compare here, this is, I think, older adults have the fewest percentage in single family, I believe, and the most in the condominium. And so that's kind of interesting. And they were also the highest that talked about other. And so you can see that comparison. That's interesting, right?
Yeah, it's a surprising.
How long have you lived in Londonderry? So, more than 20 years, 11 to 20 years, 6 to 10, and so on, you can see. Even less than 1 year. So you see some older adults are moving here probably because of the retirement availability here. And you can see again, what this is interesting. So this is, again, all the responses compared to older adults. And you can see that's higher there. But lower, interestingly enough, on the 1 to 5 years. And you're the highest with more than 20. All right? Are you hoping to retire? Yes in yellow, no in the darker blue, I'm not sure, in the turquoise, and I'm already retired.
You don't have the retired but still working group?
I'm sure some people talked about that.
No, I'm teasing.
I'm retired.
I was teasing about the people that retired on the job. No, never mind.
Yeah, I get it. No, I get it, I get it. And here you can see the percentages. And of course, I'm already retired is the highest here for. What is your current living situation? So I live with friends, just a few, a little bit more. I live with family, I live with spouse, and I live alone. And the other, Q7, the other, where are you? Oh, I don't have it listed. Oh, other. Oh, no, that's again with the next one, current living. Oh, no, I do have,
Sylvia,
yes.
could you jump back? I think, what's that I'm living alone number?
Yeah.
I'm just, no, it's not.
Sorry, right here. I have to, it's right here. I live alone.
Oh, there,
So
okay.
74, or almost 20%. So that's 1 in 5 older adults live alone. That is something for this group to really think about, because that means that, as you all know, if you're not able to drive and you're living alone, you're isolating. Like, it could be you're isolating, and that's really tricky for people. And so transportation is key for if you're living alone. Especially if you're living alone and your friends and family have moved away, or for whatever's going on for you. And so that's a number to be really,
And
really
that-
look at.
I'm looking right now at the 74 and the 20%. If we interpolate that out to the entire senior population
You're all set.
for Londonderry, I think that's in the $4,000 person. So 20% of that would be 800 people that are possibly living alone?
We could get you the number specifically, but yeah, if it's 20% of all 65 and older, I consider that high, and something that's really everyone should think about. I have the other. So people live with, a couple people live with their son. They specified that. They rent a room from to a friend who can't afford a housing. They live with their granddaughter, their son's family due to financial hardship. And one just decided to include wife and handicapped child. So everyone's got a story, right? But I think for this story, this is the biggest story right here, is the folks that live alone. All right, when considering the future of Londonderry, what would you like the town to be known for? And you could check more than one. And and we'll see in a minute, but a lot of people wrote a great town to raise a family. I think this was a unique one for older adults, was the supportive of all ages and ability. A growing town that maintains its historic New England character, affordable living. So those are, you can see where they land. A less so walkable community. A few people wanted to be known as innovative business. And then again, we have other people wanted to be known for a small, quiet town, affordable senior living, events other than sports, a safe place to live, a place where seniors can age in place, low property taxes, excellent schools, welcoming diversity, agriculture, historic New England character, more affordable housing, wider roads, protected open space, quality of life, and public transportation.
Okay, I'm interested in walkable community because I don't consider Londonderry a walkable community.
No, I don't either.
That
But-
might be why people didn't. Indy Mac, that was always his dream to have.
Well,
a walk.
Well-
I'm guessing that that's gonna be one of the things that's a big discriminator between older people and younger people. I know in our community, people are always walking around the neighborhood. They don't go out to the street, but they walk. I keep telling people they ought to know where their house is by now. But that, I think, is another thing that we'll have to look at.
And remember, this is not, this wasn't a survey specifically about transportation. We'll dive further into it once we get to that, but this was housing and regional considerations and land use. That's what this survey's. So looking at the comparisons, you can see from all the respondents to the older adults, the differences here in how people responded. Right. Yeah, and you can see, for example, support of all ages. That was a bigger thing for older adults. Another bigger thing was the affordable living. And yeah, I think 40% to 38, that's very close. Less so the sport, recreation hub, and so on. All right. When you, this was in what was considered an open-ended question. It's nothing to pick, people just write in their responses. And then we had to categorize those responses. So when you think about Londonderry in its present state, what would you want to preserve the most? Overall, for older adults, it was the desire to balance growth with preservation, ensure the town retains its unique character and quality of life. So for each of these, small town atmosphere, the thought there was a strong desire to maintain a welcoming, friendly, and quaint small town feel, contrasting with urbanization and overdevelopment. The rural character and agriculture, this was a huge thing through all ages. Appreciation of the town's agricultural roots, particularly apple orchards and farms, and a commitment to preserving these spaces against encroaching development. Open spaces and green areas, a significant emphasis on the importance of preserving open space, forests, and green areas for recreation and community well-being. Community and safety, the value was placed on community involvement, safety, and quality public services, including schools and local amenities. Historical preservation, a strong sentiment for maintaining the town's historical character and heritage, with calls to protect historical buildings and sites. Controlled growth, concerns about rapid growth and development, advocating for managed and sustainable growth that respects the town's rural charm. Quality of life, the importance of maintaining a high quality of living, which includes access to nature, good schools, and a safe environment. Another open-ended question, there were 4 in total. The second one, in your opinion, what qualities or attributes make Londonderry unique? Overall, maintain its unique blend of rural charm and accessibility while navigating the challenges of growth and development. That was pretty much throughout. But and these are not in any particular order, by the way.
Oh.
They're not prioritized.
Okay.
So on this one, rural character and open space, many respondents cherish the town's agricultural roots, particularly apple orchards, so what we had recently heard. Community and friendliness, there's a strong sense of community highlighted by friendly neighbors, community events, and support of local services such as police and senior center. Accessibility and location, the town's convenient proximity to major cities, highways, and amenities like shopping and healthcare. Historical preservation, many residents value the town's historical character, and we talked about that. Quality of life, the good schools, low crime rates, and family-friendly environment. And then 2 unique to the older adults were the last 2 here, concerns about, in this particular question. This is a common theme throughout, but for older adults, they picked this one. Concerns about overdevelopment, respondents express anxiety about increasing population density and development, fearing the loss of small town feel and natural beauty, and a balance between new and old. There's an appreciation for the mix of modern conveniences with traditional rural elements, although there's a concern that the balance is shifting too far towards urbanization.
Can I make a comment about this particular piece? Probably going back quite a ways, but basically when my children were still at home, or at least most of them were still home, my wife and I used to make a point of going out on just took rides around town, because at that time there was still these things popping up, new developments, new roads going in and so on. But after the children left and out on their own and so on, we haven't done that for a long time. But once this planning thing started, I was looking at Google on the aerial view of the maps, and I said, let's go for some rides, okay? And we went out and looked at some of the newer developments, and the ones we spotted were the ones that stand out of them most as being purely, designed or laid out in a very uniform way, okay? And after we did that a couple of times, I have what was in my head about the town
Right.
versus what the town looked
Has
like
become,
after that
yeah.
has dramatically changed.
Right.
Okay, and I wish I didn't do it, because I just had this perception of this town that I kind of remember, building up. But I think a lot of people have a perception of the town that's no longer based on reality of what's happened, and it's not that it happened last 5 years. It's happened over a pretty long period of
Yeah,
time.
of
But
course.
you can clearly see the neighborhoods that have been built as neighborhoods. The town, the early days, streets were pushed through and houses were built on them, but there wasn't 15, 20 streets at a time and all laid out. I can't remember which one of these places was, but you probably won't mean anything to you. But one place reminded me, like, bang, this is Levittown. I don't know if you know where Levittown. Do you?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. Well,
New York. New York.
Pennsylvania. There's these. This was after World War II. Housing was critical, and this. I think the guy's name was actually Levy. He built these massive developments, and there was, they might put in, 1,000 houses and maybe 5 models, right? And they were, the streets, right?
Yes,
If
yes.
you look at today, there's a Levittown outside of, ways out on Long Island that's still there, and you can see this basic structure of how the streets were done. But you can also see where over 50, 60 years, how the houses that there, so many of them have been modified in different ways, so they
Right.
actually look different. But there's a couple places that look just like that in town. And it was done the same way. You come in and you just bulldoze everything away, flatten it
Right.
out, right?
Right.
Lay out the roads, okay? Well, not all, like 99% of the trees are
Right.
gone. So when you go in these neighborhoods, you see these 3-foot saplings that, in 25 years will,
Right.
but it was just, there's a lot of that. Now, I really don't want to say we shouldn't have done that, because it's practically impossible to change those kinds of movements. But the town is not the quaint little town that it was, okay? And I think a good dose of reality hopes and helps in what we do with what's left in terms of building.
I think there's a lot of people that have that sentiment, that when you read the comments, you hear that frequently. All right, let's keep moving.
Another comment on that one, could you go back to the one before? Only 39, the next one? Was interesting to me that 70 people skipped answering
I
that.
thought
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, that's a lot that skipped.
Or that percentage, right, or three,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But they might not think we're unique.
So question 12, and this is where one of the questions, and several come up, where you start to rate these different things. And so indicate the level of importance that the town should give to the following townwide initiatives. So if you look at the different colors, green is very important, blue important, yellow somewhat important, light blue is not important, and unsure is orange. And across the bottom is maintaining low tax rate. The second one is these get cut off, and I apologize for that, but there's no way to add them all. Developing age-friendly strategic plan, including strategies to age in place. That's this second one here. Protecting historic property sites, here. This fourth one, maintain active community spaces for events and gatherings. There you are. 5 here is improve communication infrastructure such as Wi-Fi, internet access, cellular services, ensuring ability to all residents who work and learn from home. The next one is develop community-wide energy savings plan. If you have followed that, that is right here. Walkability considerations in planning decisions, here. Enhance school facilities, here. Develop affordable housing options, this one. Investment in town facilities, here. And ensuring business community is thriving. I ordered these by just using the filter of very important. That's why you see the graph, the green going down, 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 down. The green, and that's very important. But let's look at it a slightly different way. So what I did here was I added them together. So you see very important added with important, somewhat important. So you can look at this a slightly different way. You can, and the opposite way. What is not important? What's the biggest not important? That one was walkability considerations. That wasn't the most important. And develop affordable housing options for young and first-time property owners. But let's look at it in this way as well, on the positive side, because I'd like to remain positive. So the most common ones, let's see, so I gathered them this way. So maintaining low tax rate, develop it, not common, the ones that are the highest priority, sorry. We're maintaining low tax rate, and for older adults, it was develop an age-friendly strategic plan, including strategies to age in place. And everybody understands what that means, I'm gonna guess, just by the title. It's
Yes.
sort of self-explanatory, correct? Protect historic property sites. So these were the highest priority. The next level was maintain active community spaces for events and gathering, improve communication infrastructure, and then the next level down was, for older adults, was the develop community-wide energy savings plan, the school facilities, invest in town facility infrastructure, and ensure business community is thriving.
And Sylvia, these are just the older adults? These are not
This is the older adults,
Okay.
yes. Now, I'll start comparing that. Oh, I do, you'll see this in a minute. So I did the same with younger adults, so that you could start to see where the real differences lay. And so it's a little bit easier to go this way. So enhance school facilities, this was important for older adults, but it was
Very
one of the
important.
highest for younger people. And that shouldn't surprise anyone.
Yeah.
Also, just as high was maintain a low tax rate, so you have that in common. Maintain active community spaces for events and gathering, that was also very high on their list. The next high, I think, let's see, yeah, there's 3 shades of yellow, which is somewhat annoying to the eyeball, but if you stare at it long enough, you can see. The next one was protect historic properties and sites, you have that in common. Investment in town facilities and infrastructure, ensure business. And then this one was, I believe, a little bit different, improve communication. But what was really different with the younger folks was this 3rd tier, which was the walkability consideration. That was important for younger people.
What was the percentage for seniors on that one? 30.
It was one of their lowest. If you look at it this way, remember it was the highest that was not important for older adults. If you
That's
look at
surprising.
graphically this way again, it's still higher, but it was one of their more important ones. And what I did was, I started adding the 3 of the, even though it's just somewhat important, I just started adding those together and looking where they lay when you add all 3. And you can start to look at it that way. I have copies for, I made a few extra copies for
Okay.
people, if you want to study this more.
If we just go back for a second, because there were 2 there that I think meld somewhat. The affordable housing options for young and first-time buyers, I think is for many seniors, we're talking about downsizing when the kids go
I think that
and the rest of that, and I think there is a fairly substantial lack of, if I call it entry level or bungalow types housing for people in Londonderry, both young and old. We know at least one person that has been so active in the community, had to move out because she could no longer afford to live here.
Oh, yeah, we hear those kind of comments are frequent.
And they just, AAR, I sent out the thing from AARP about the missing middle in housing.
Right.
And I think that would be something we want to look at as we go on.
When
sorry.
we get into, this is land use right now we're in, when we get to housing, you'll see affordable housing comes up often.
The way you put this together,
Yeah, I find the rooms in Londonderry, they try to freeze you
Oh,
frequently.
They vary.
We freeze in planning.
It says it's
Next to it.
Says 70.
Well, it was supposed to be set to about 73, so.
Crank it up.
I'll let Sherry do it. Let's give it up.
Make Sherry do it, yeah.
Oh.
And it
What, it goes back to 71?
Oh.
Weird.
That's, I think what you set it at and where it's at is what it's doing. All right,
do we stop for a second on that walkability one?
yes.
That one, I couldn't even catch that, but
We'll see, you never know,
that,
sometimes it works.
that surprises me. But it says walkability and planning decisions.
But remember, this is the level of importance
Yeah.
for all these different townwide initiatives. And so people may be comparing that in their mind when they're doing it, which is why maintaining that low tax rate is so high. So it may be that they're thinking, well, I want my tax rate, that's the biggest thing for me compared to the
Oh,
others.
it's,
So
yeah,
it may be
okay.
some of that
Yeah.
going on.
Gotcha.
I mean, they can say all of these are very important if they wanted to, but they may, in their mind, they may be saying that, yeah. All right. 13. All right. where am I in my notes here? Okay. So please indicate how beneficial the following regional assets are. So, let's see, we have proximity to urban centers, commercial growth, business support, proximity to the airport, to higher education and technical training, to shopping, highway and roadway network, recreation including the trail network, historic New England character, agriculture, and proximity. Again, you can see how very beneficial is the green, beneficial, then the blue gets added, and you can see how this sort of scoring, if you will, happens. But the proximity to healthcare and agriculture were the top two for older adults. And then you can see that sort of the next in line were these three here, the historic New England character, recreation, including trail network, which comes up for all ages. But let's look at it this way again, and you can see how they come out here. Question 14, and the reason why I think I did not do a comparison here with the younger people is that there were no real differences. I think it's very common for all ages that that's how this fell out. So please indicate your level of concern on how the following elements might impact Londonderry. So, and you can see it's very concerned is the red, concerned is the orange, somewhat concerned yellow, not concerned, and unsure. So let's start from the top. Adapting new technologies, lack of adequate workforce, climate change, lack of services compared to growth, growth and development, so you can start seeing how these concerns are growing, urban sprawl, potential loss of agriculture and farms, environmental pollution, potential watershed contamination, increased traffic, I-93 expansion. So let's look at what were the top ones. So the traffic, the contamination, environmental pollution, loss of agriculture farms, and then the next level was down to urban sprawl, growth and development, and lack of services compared to growth. So that's how that came out. Question 15. And this is another one where I compare younger and older adults. So let's see. So, and for those who are tracking this, you can see 30 people skipped that, which I think is a very small number. Indicate the level of importance that the town should give the following land use development methods for guiding future growth. All right, so this starts to get complicated. If I need to slow down, just let me know, all right? All right, allowed mixed use and higher density, continue to permit higher residential density as a bonus for preservation of conservation open space, continue to permit higher residential density as a bonus for affordable housing, allow for mixed uses in and near the airport, ensure new residential developments have on-site amenities, promote a vibrant, walkable village center with allowances for mixed uses, allow smaller residential lot sizes to encourage smaller, more affordable homes, creation of walkable neighborhoods, provide incentives for age-friendly housing, and the top one here, preserve wooded areas and rural character when feasible. And you can see, again, green is very important and so on, and you can see how this far outweighs everything else. And that is the same for probably all age groups. But let's look at it in this way. So again, you can see the top one. This was unique, I believe, yeah. The incentives for age-friendly housing was unique for older adults.
I'm astounded.
Especially, I was a little bit too,
Yes.
because it's for all ages.
Yes.
Age-friendly, if just to, so that we're all on the same page on that, is it's built for any age, any ability. So if you're someone who has physical issues, or it could be anything. It could be a mom who with small children and has a
Yeah.
stroller or something. But it's sort of that single level friendly living where things are accessible, if you think of it that way.
Is that universal design? Or is that a different definition in your
Well,
mind?
people also talk about universal design, but age-friendly housing, yes, it's typically, that first level, main, you have that bedroom and main bath on the first floor with your kitchen and your, all of that. Anyway, let's keep moving. So that one was very unique to older adults. Creation of walkable neighborhoods. That was common for all adults. Promoting the vibrant village center was common, ensuring new residential developments have on-site amenities, and also the allowing for mixed use near the airport. That was common, but let's take a look. I think I did it. We'll find out in a minute here. Yeah. For the younger adults. So you can see here again, the wooded area. That one is way out front. But what is unique on this one, why do I have it that way? Wait for it, where are you? Continue to permit higher density. Now is this really residential bonus? Oh wait. For preservation of conservation space. Where is it? This one is a little bit, let's look at it this way. So there's the wooded area. There's the promoting vibrant village center, the walkable neighborhoods, on-site amenities, just like the older adults. It's this one that the younger people felt should be important, and that was not important for older adults.
Why is the next one even on there? Allow for mixed uses in and near the airport. I mean, what does that mean?
That means, well, for example, right now in front of it has been since like May or something, there have been multiple applications coming in for planned use developments where it's allowing, for example, the one has like a 7-Eleven or a little store. It has like a daycare. It
Is
has
that the,
places to work.
Technology,
Village on Technology Hill. And yes, exactly.
okay.
And it has places to live. So it has, the idea is places you can live, work, play, shop, all in one area. They do them all over the country. Probably you have friends who live somewhere in the South that, like, whether it's Florida or the Carolinas or somewhere where they're just building these like crazy. And they're very popular, whether that's with young people or retirees, because then you don't have to leave your village for your shopping, or, all
It's
of
kind
it.
of what they're doing by Market Basket though. Because it has,
Yes,
has all the
that was the
little
first
shops on the
one.
bottom. Yep.
Woodmont Commons was the first one in Londonderry. All right. So, this was another open-ended question. What are the most important land uses land use issues that the town departments and boards should prioritize. We're
I
losing
apologize.
Patrick.
Yeah, I have to step up.
Sure.
Nice to see you again.
Take care.
I'll see you next month.
Good to see you.
Good seeing you, Patrick.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
All right, what are the most important land use issues that the town departments should prioritize? Overall, responses reflect a strong community concern about balancing growth and maintaining Londonderry's character. Do you see the theme? It's repeating? Yeah. So, where am I? Affordable housing, a significant demand for affordable options for families, seniors, and first-time buyers. Many responses highlight the need for diverse housing types that remain accessible to long-term residents. Preservation of open space, a prevalent theme in the desire to protect green spaces, agricultural lands, natural resources. Residents express concern about overdevelopment and the loss of rural character, advocating for conservation and limits on new housing developments. Infrastructure and traffic, many comments emphasizing the importance of adequate infrastructure to support growth, with concerns about traffic congestion and safety for pedestrians and cyclists. There's a call for improved roads and careful planning of new developments to avoid a strain on existing services. The fourth bullet there, community character. Respondents value the small town atmosphere and rural charm of Londonderry. There's a strong sentiment against high density housing and commercial overdevelopment, with requests for building styles that are compatible with the town's historical character. Environmental protection, protecting water sources and addressing pollution are significant concerns. Many responses call for stricter regulations on developments to safeguard the environment and maintain public health. Recreational spaces, a desire for increased recreational facilities and walkable communities is evident, indicating a need for spaces that promote community engagement and outdoor activities. And then unique to older adults was civic engagement and planning. Many respondents feel that local governments has not adequately addressed their concerns. There's a call for more transparency and community involvement in development decisions.
That was the senior one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that in any particular order? No.
All right, moving on. How needed are the various types of housing? So this was a very interesting question, and I did another comparison with the 35 and younger here. All right, let's go from looking at if you focus on the darker green, and you can see how it varies once you add the somewhat needed, things change, but infill development, that's an allowance for vacant and abandoned or underutilized lots. Do I have my full spelling? No. But it's infill. Manufactured homes, two-family or duplex planned unit developments, we just talked about that, townhomes or condos, multifamily apartments, village style, which are typically very small units clustered around a common green space. Those are also very popular in many places in the country. Cluster developments that allows also for smaller lot sizes and larger green space. Age-restricted housing, assisted living, single family. Age-friendly housing, we talked about that earlier. None, Londonderry has enough housing. Accessory dwelling units and affordable houses. So accessory dwelling units are, you have a home, you can add to it and have a second unit there. And then affordable housing. And affordable housing for us is you're not paying more than 30% of your income on housing. All right, so let's look at it this way. So the ones that came out the top, and what I looked at was very needed, and somewhat needed. The reason why is, when you look at this, it's all over the place. It's equally, like, example, even single family, if you look at it between this very needed and needed, it's not impressive. Here's 50%. Here's 50%.
Hmm.
All right? And even if you add somewhat needed, it just gets to just over 80%. Anyway, so I added all three in order to come up with what was somewhat preferred, okay? So we have affordable housing as one of the top, age-friendly housing, and single family. Next level would be the accessory dwelling units and the assisted living and the age restricted, which was unique to older adults. And then the next level down would be this village style townhouses and duplexes. All right, let's look at what the 35 and younger talked about, and we'll look at it. And I'll have to say also, as a side comment, I did not know how to interpret none, because none is very needed or none is not needed, which is a double negative, and then is it needed? So it hurt my head trying to think of it this way, so I kind of thought, well, I guess people think that no housing is needed.
Who made up the questions?
So I worked with the master plan subcommittee and with Kelly, but mostly it was the planning board and their master plan subcommittee.
So I wonder what their intent was for that question.
Their intent was that no houses were needed,
Okay.
that no building.
My sense is that that's a reaction to,
Yes,
like, Woodmont
yes.
and whatever that technology. There's an awful lot of green space taking it up. Well, if you see the units going up at Woodmont now, we're starting to worry about traffic too, you know.
Sure.
You
You
can't
know.
even drive down 102 anymore, it's just, you
No,
have to
you know.
bypass it.
All right, so we did this. Let's look at the 35 and younger. So I was kind of surprised. Single family was, I guess you can say, at their top of their list.
Yep.
And then the affordable housing, and also age-friendly. This case, age-friendly came up. And then the next level down were the townhouses, the accessory dwelling units. They liked the village style and the infill, which was not preferred for the older adults, and also two-family. Let's see. But also they had none as a higher one. All right. In your opinion, is Londonderry's residential growth occurring, and then red is too fast, green is too slow, yellow is just right, and people were unsure? So, and here's the comparison of the younger people. You can see not as many people feel it's too fast if you compare the reds. Many more feel it's too slow. Just right, a lot of people think it's just right, and unsure is about this, close to the same.
But I can't help but notice 65 plus, 350 people answered. 35 and under are only 127 answered. So that skews the percentages when if you don't have the same number answering for both.
Well, the percentages aren't, it's just the number.
Oh, I get that, but when I look at, I don't know,
But let's also, I don't have here is the percentage of older adults, just the population, versus the population of 35 and younger.
That is not what's showing there?
This is the number of people who participated in the survey.
Oh, correct. No, I understand that.
But, for example, it may be that there are a lot more older adults than younger adults. I don't have that.
Oh,
I should
in the
find out.
town, in the town. I
Yes.
hear what you're saying, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
The town report at the back has it.
I have it back at the office.
Yeah.
I just don't have it with
No.
me, and I apologize. And I didn't remember my blue. I feel so sad now about my blue. Okay, so here, you can see those percentages. Also, I wanted to compare to the overall, results, and they're relatively close, although, interestingly enough, overall, people think it's too slow, so that they sort of agree with the younger adults. Just right, interestingly, is the same, and unsure is, it's these two that are a bit different. All right. Based on your best estimation, does Londonderry offer a suitable, affordable selection of housing for younger residents wanting to buy their first home? So you can see that not many people, I don't even know what that would be. Maybe that looks like about an eighth, right? If that's about a quarter, that's
Yeah.
about an eighth. And then you've got so many no. And it's very similar here.
No, that's
This is the
surprising.
35 and younger, and then the I don't know, but
That's surprising, that there isn't a bigger gap between the old people and the young people. I would suspect that 35 and older would be, a lot more would be saying, they're not getting enough attention or the right kind of houses.
you'll see that in a minute. So again, does Londonderry offer suitable selection for younger residents? And here's the comparison. And looking at the no, it's close, right? More people said, I don't know. And so now, based on your best estimation, does Londonderry offer a suitable, affordable selection of housing for older adults wanting to downsize into age-friendly housing suitable for all ages, all abilities? So now you can see the difference here. Close to a quarter, sort of squeaking under a quarter there, but almost the same amount said no, but more or less people said I don't know. And then, but a lot more people who are younger think, the older people have plenty of housing. So you can see that here. All right, and here's that response again. And interestingly enough, this is pretty different, these responses, 65 and older compared to everyone else. So 65 and older, definitely at 60% almost, where this is about closer, but under 50%, right? All right, if you're an older adult and wanting to age in place, or a younger person caring for an older family member, how important are the following elements in regards to your or their ability to stay in town and in their own home? All right, let's look at these. Assistance with filling out forms and answering mail or email. Assistance with cooking and cleaning. Assistance with indoor-outdoor projects. Making connections to family and friends. Assistance in getting to places, medical appointments, grocery shopping, etc. In-home services for self-care, taking medications, bathroom needs, getting dressed. So the top two, and very close to the top three, but the top one was in-home services. Next was the assistance in getting places, and then making connections to family and friends. And that gets you back to that isolation point that we talked about very early in this whole conversation. So again, here, the same percentages, looking at it this way. All right, question 22. All right, this is our final question. What are the most important housing issues that the town departments and boards should prioritize? Overall, the community is advocating for a balanced approach that prioritizes affordability, accessibility, and again, the preservation of Londonderry's unique character. So as John was talking about in the whole driving around, people are very concerned about what he discovered, which is maybe of losing that community character and the uniqueness. But let's look at each one of these. So affordable housing needs. There's a strong demand for affordable housing for both seniors and first-time buyers. And that was something specified by older adults, including first-time buyers. Because I'm guessing they're thinking about their adult children who can't maybe afford a place here in Londonderry. Residents emphasize the necessity for housing that is financially accessible, including single-level living for older adults and lower-income families. Growth concerns. Many residents express worries about overdevelopment, fearing it will compromise the town's rural character and lead to increased traffic and congestion. A significant number advocate for slowing down development and maintaining the small town feel. Unique for older adults was accessibility. Accessibility features such as single-level homes and wheelchair-friendly designs are frequently mentioned, highlighting the need for housing that accommodates the aging population and those with disabilities. Traffic infrastructure. The impact of new housing on traffic and local infrastructure is a reoccurring concern. Many residents are worried that increased housing density will overwhelm roads and public services. Again, unique to older adults was the community services and quality of life, calling for more support for older adults, including financial assistance, resources to help them stay in their homes. Additionally, maintaining green spaces and community character was also important. Zoning and development control. This was also unique and actually the opposite of what younger people said. Desire for stricter zoning regulations is evident with suggestions to limit building sizes and maintain larger lot requirements. Residents want more thoughtful planning that it aligns with community needs rather than developer interests. Taxation issues, concerns about rising property taxes, especially for older adults. And many respondents suggest tax relief or adjustments for older adults and long-term residents. So that's that. And now my throat is very sore. And your ears are probably feeling like they're going to fall off.
Just a population thing. Ages 20 to 34, 4,406. I didn't count the 6 because they didn't want us dead. Ages 65 and older, 3,937. So
Oh, it's pretty similar.
it's pretty close, about 10% more in the younger group than the seniors.
Okay, interesting.
That's interesting, Jim. I didn't realize that it was so clear there. Glad you pointed that out.
When you put all this together, do you think this supports that seniors, over 65 people, the two most important things are housing affordable housing or senior housing and the transportation.
Well, we saw that keeping the taxes down was important.
No way, but I'm more about thinking about the
Services and
not so much the financial side of it, but
Living in
what the
town.
town has to offer, or what they need physically, I guess I would say, non-financial, but physically. I don't know how to describe.
Well, certainly the affordable housing is mentioned by every age group, and it's a big deal. But the problem here is, it's how to solve that. It's a country-wide issue, pretty much, but it's certainly a New Hampshire-wide issue. And especially in the southern part of the state, which is where we are, and how to resolve that. And one of the focuses of the Master Plan Steering Committee, I think you were there, John, they want to have a focused discussion with a whole host of folks on affordable housing and how can we get there. And that's not an easy nut to crack. Especially with land prices so expensive.
That's the key.
But they're interested in it, and there's ways to do it. And I think it'll be an interesting conversation in how Londonderry decides as a town to maybe come up with some alternative solutions. I'm going to be interested in how that discussion moves forward. But certainly it's a very common theme. But so is, that whole apple orchard and preserving agriculture is huge. Open space. The town loves its rail trail. There's a lot of things that are really going for this town. And, but concerns about multifamily, concerns about how things are being developed, that's obviously a concern as well. It's really a push me, pull me doll is, you want affordable housing, but you want to say no to some of the most,
Innovative ways to solve the problem.
yeah, like the infill development. I was like, that could be it could be, let's say, John, he owns a double lot and he wants to put a home on the second half of his lot. People now are like, no, don't do it. That's hard, but there are ways of encouraging, and my team is looking at this. Vermont is doing this, where if you have property that you could put, let's say, they're not called
Accessory dwelling units?
mini McMansions or something, where
Oh.
you put in a 4-unit home that looks like a farmhouse. But you have to, as the owner of the lot, live there. Which means, that would mean, like, let's say you, Jim, have your property,
Yep.
you have a big enough lot, and you'd like others, whether it's your family or a caretaker or whoever you want to live there, you decide. But now you can expand on your property, but it's to look like a New England farmhouse thing. That's what Vermont is doing in some areas. And so that's something I think we're gonna try to bring to the table.
That's a great idea. They
That's
also
like
have,
What's that?
I'm very intrigued with their home share program.
Yeah, they have things like that as well.
That was,
But that's essentially an architectural code then.
That's an architectural thing,
They
but what's
don't like-
unique is the homeowner occupied. It's so that it's the idea is you're not inviting sort of that developer interest to come in, and that's sort of a different thing, but it's like taking what you already have and making sure you can age in place by doing something like that
yes.
on a scale that is still small. You can still do that with accessory dwelling units. You can do
Yes.
that right now.
Yeah.
But if you want to, since building is so expensive, an accessory dwelling unit can cost you $200,000 to $300,000. I mean, that's like insane, right? I mean, that's just crazy money.
Well-
So can you do it cheaper by doing up to 4 units and still being able to live there as the Londonderry, resident for 20+ years?
Well, also, I think it has the advantage for the other residents that your landlord is there.
Yes.
You know, you
yes.
don't have, it's not the absent landlord, my window's been cracked for 6 months, terrible problem, I'll get to it shortly. There's
Well,
there's a
there's-
lot going for that idea.
There's all kinds of different options that can be discussed. But anyway, I'm gonna stop talking because my throat hurts now.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave you with all but one of these. So there's 4 here. You can arm wrestle over those. If you want more, I can always send more to the town or to John. But I need one for my record so I remember what the heck I've done for you guys.
Before you leave, this was really, really impressive. I thank John for bringing you. A lot of this stuff, I had no idea of this information. I can't even imagine collecting the data, I guess was the easy part. Organizing it, and everything that you've done in the end, I can't imagine how many hours was involved in doing that. And I'm very, very impressed, and I thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You don't always get acknowledgement. Thank
It's
you.
incredible.
I knew where I was coming. I knew it was John's request, and I wanted to impress John, which is not always
You don't need
easy.
to impress me.
And I did, thanks to Kelly, actually, who gave me the thumbs up on doing this work. And I spent a good part of my Christmas and New Year's weeks working on this, and I really wanted to make this accessible to
You
you.
can't help but recognize the amount of work that went into it. This was phenomenal,
Oh,
absolutely phenomenal.
well, thank you very
Yes.
much.
And very easy to understand also.
Yes.
Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
I've been looking at this for a while. I've been looking, and I encourage you all to look at that. Can also send it to you in soft copy. No, can I? Oh,
And a PDF?
I could try a PDF because it's a huge file. I have it upstairs now, and I have a stick. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can eventually get it. It's not something you can just email because of the
Yeah,
size.
too much.
Could I take one for my town clerk's office?
Oh, please do.
Because I think.
And I'd like to
people put on
steal
the
one.
counter.
And John should have one.
John,
Yeah.
Very
John?
impressive.
If I can get
No,
one.
John should have.
yeah. John needs one.
Now, for a limited time and a limited time only, I have on sale the last copy.
I will take it then. Thank you.
All right.
You okay?
I was gonna say, should the library have a copy? Yeah.
Who's the library? You're the
I'm
library.
not, yeah.
Oh, Ben.
Yeah.
You and I are pretty tight to ours.
I know.
We won't do that.
All right.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good.
Um,
Wow.
Well, if you need me back for other topics, I'm happy to come back. You're a very nice group and thoughtful, and I'm happy to come back.
Oh, great,
Well, thank
I'd
you.
like to,
Excellent.
see if we couldn't have a better interaction between the two groups, because a lot of this is essential to what we're doing, both the transportation, housing, and, the health thing for seniors is a ongoing concern for us, so this has been wonderful.
I'd be very curious from this group, after you think about this a little bit, which of these questions really hit home for you? And because I'd love to do like a video and put it on the website so that it would be accessible to anyone who wants to look at it. But I really want to know what questions are the ones that you think really told you a story. And if you can let John know, John can be our go-between. And that way I know just what I should focus on. And it'd be really great to get that feedback from your group.
I think one person I'd suggest, if you haven't talked to Alona at the,
Absolutely.
because
Who?
It's too bad she was missing tonight.
Yeah, she's the
Yeah.
one that gets,
From the senior center?
She's the head of the
Yeah.
senior
Oh,
center.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was hoping to actually do this presentation there, what did that? But, it takes, like you can see, it took me an hour and 15 minutes to do this. So I'm not sure if that would be of interest, but if I could narrow it down, and if you, this group could tell me how to narrow it down, like, maybe it's easier this way. What questions aren't that important? Whichever way you wanna go,
Yep.
I'd love to hear back.
because, well, I'll make my announcement to everybody. The resource guide we were talking about as a result of the Senior Expo, we're almost finished with that for a rough draft to send out to everybody. We have about 140 plus entries of health organization participants, et cetera, that will answer people's questions with a email address, telephone number, et cetera, for each of those, categorized by different categories. So that's something we've been working on, and if I didn't have my little health problem for a while, I would have finished it before the end of the year, but I'm still working on it now, so we'll be.
It's excellent. That's
You know,
great.
one of the
Jim,
thi-
what you do is incredible too.
Yeah, my
You do
goodness.
so much for this
I'm
community.
incredible.
It's incredible. Yes, it is. I've seen other leaders and they don't compare with you. You do incredible.
You know,
Harvey.
one thing that really hit the nail on the head for me was right at the beginning, when we went back to those people living alone. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't know how many times around this table we have said, we know those people out there that could probably use help. We don't know how to get them to them, and we still don't know how to get them, but we, I mean, the
Been
date,
years that that's our number one.
I mean, you came up with, I think what the number was on the survey, but it was a fair
I
number.
know the housing thing is, both for seniors and for their family, that she gets an awful lot of inquiries about,
Here, I live alone.
where's affordable housing?
That's 60, or 75 people. I mean, that's not trivial.
No, and that, the isolation, as you had mentioned, and they aren't part of the survey because they didn't
That's
come up
right.
to take it.
They are part
And
of the
Jim, so
survey.
you
Yeah.
said there are 44,065 and older approximately that
Yes.
live in Londonderry. So 20% of that,
Is 800.
that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people living alone, and you gotta figure at least 10% of that are the people that are really isolated,
Oh, horribly.
with, maybe without family in the area, and so that's,
That one does strike home,
yeah,
doesn't it?
that's scary.
All right. Well, and you're free,
How should we get in touch with you,
John.
John? Through John.
John knows how to find me.
Okay.
Are you a Londonderry resident?
I am not. I'm a
not.
Newmarket resident.
Oh, really?
So I have a drive to get here.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, I drive to Manchester to get to work, and then I pop over here on occasion. You'll see me up in the planning office.
Well, that's what I wondered, because you were part of the town planner, so. Yeah.
Well, Colleen, she left a gap, and Kelly's been working very hard to fill that gap, and then there's been turnover up in the planning department, so I've been helping out as best I can.
Well, thank you.
Very much.
And, yeah.
A motion to adjourn is always in order.
Second?
You know what I really think we should though, John, John, did you wanna make a little presentation on
Oh, yeah,
what you
we should,
experienced
yeah.
last night, even if it's 5 minutes, but I think it's important.
Thank you.
Sylvia, take this with you.
What's that?
It's a-
We
it's a
presented
draft
at
of
the
a warrant
council meeting
article.
last night,
Okay,
and I think he should report on. So last night, John presented with his wing woman by his side, but I think it's important to share it.
Okay, you jump in if I miss anything. So Casey, to do this really quick, we had met with the selectmen a couple weeks ago, okay? And they were basically enthusiastic and wanted to move forward. So at that meeting, they the selectmen instructed Jason at the time to go away and come back with a warrant article.
Yeah.
So, through a process, we got a warrant article that we kind of agreed on, and that was presented last night.
Yeah.
So good so far.
Yeah.
So, then a discussion ensued, back and forth and so on. And it was all, there was never, during that discussion, any doubt that they wanted to do something, okay? But we got to a point in the discussion where they wanted, not they, there was 5 people, one of them wanted, objected really to the method we were gonna use to get the money, which is the $5 fee and so on, okay?
Through car registration,
Yeah,
so.
car registration. And so then, during the conversation, and I don't know exactly who actually said this first, but maybe this gentleman decided that what we ought to do is put a warrant article on the ballot that just asks for the money. Okay, rather than collect it, we never talked about dollars, but it had hundreds of
200,000, yeah,
thousands.
200,000, it was
So-
kind of.
We didn't like that, okay? First of all, it would be, it's a warrant article with everybody worried about taxes and so on and so forth. But for me, what was important about it is that if you're going to start working with transportation, you gotta be, what people expect from transportation is it to be reliable and, works for them. Which means that you have to know that you have a supply of money coming in. So you can plan ahead, you can join, there's a lot of opportunities to work collaboratively with other towns and so on. But without that ability to have the money, you can't really go out and negotiate or, transactions, because you have to be able to say, well, this is the kind of money. If you have to go back every year and get a warrant article passed, and you know how, quirky, I guess you could say, right, it is about getting things passed. So basically how it was left, that we're going to go back to the next meeting, which I think is the 20th,
Yeah.
maybe the 20th.
Yeah.
And I guess somehow, I don't know what they're gonna do, because they can't really have a discussion about this without having a meeting. But somehow or another, we're gonna try to resolve it on the 20th. And to me, this is almost a no deal if we can't get a reliable flow of
Cash
money
flow.
coming in to run this. You just can't afford to go out and build something up, and then the warrant article doesn't pass, you gotta close it down for people. That's just impossible.
So John's idea was on your car registrations, there's one line item that we've never utilized in town, but many other towns, Derry, Goffstown, Exeter, many of them in our surrounding area, there's probably at least 30, do include it, and it's about it is $5. The max that the state will allow is a $5 per car. So John investigated research, a lot of preparation, he's been telling us about it. It's something we haven't used, but that it's very viable and we could be using it. And, we have approximately 44,000 cars between everything that we could include the registration on. So it would bring in a considerable amount of money.
Does that include the rental agencies?
Yeah, pretty much everything, because we have a lot up at the airport in Alton too.
That's the
And I do
warrant
want to
article
verify that
we
number,
had
we've got to do a little
proposed.
bit, but it's right in that vicinity. And it's a lot of potential earnings there for the town. It just kind of surprised us last night, because we were ready for a reduction of the $5, because it doesn't have to be $5, it could be $2, or it could be, you know, anything up to $5. So we were prepped for that, and John and I talked about it before, but when all of a sudden this new idea came out of nowhere, we were surprised that a couple of the counselors did have the concern of another tax, in a sense, that would, on every vehicle. The discussion went around a cup of coffee being $5 or more today. You know, would people really be negative about it? You know, it's something like in other towns it's already happening, but we just weren't prepared for this new angle. And then what we brought up was, but by waiting until the 20th, if we wanted to do a citizens petition, because the council may not support what we were going to do here in this format, the citizens petition date would have passed. So they urged John to wait until the next council meeting, and it sounds like they might present John's original idea, and then they're going to present their new idea. And that's as far as we got, John.
Okay.
It's a little confusing for us too, wouldn't you say, John? We're not
well,
quite sure.
surprising, because
Yeah.
we went in there thinking that we were going to discuss the finer points of the warrant article, which is exactly what they asked for, so we gave
Right.
exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
And then this opened up, and I think this morning, I was already out on YouTube, by the way. I was surprised at the,
I watched it too
so
to
I
see how we
watched,
did.
I
Like,
rewatched
did we
the end,
present
the
it
part,
okay?
and I guess we had this discussion, it must have been about 10 o'clock or something.
Yeah, it was 11:30, the meeting ended
Oh.
last
Wow.
night.
Oh,
So
wow.
But anyway,
It was
basically,
crazy.
I listened to it psychic one
It's a good meeting.
I wanted to find out what the words were. And one of the gentlemen brought up the point that he didn't like fees that never had an end to them, okay? And I agree with that concept, okay? Because the government is full of, you know, this, add more and more and more law, more and more fees and so on. So I don't disagree with that. My problem is that it's a kind of a philosophy of government not to do that. I don't want to use that, you know, to reject this because of that kind of an argument, and do it on an article that's for seniors. If you want to go play, you know, you want to go make a point about that, don't do it with something for the senior citizens in town.
Yeah.
Seniors and
Well-
people with disabilities too, we were including.
And, you know, so it's, you know, it's kind of annoying. But I'm starting to formulate, and we have a writer here, but I'm starting to formulate an outline of a letter that I think I want to send to this gentleman, and kind of lay out the arguments. But the point that I don't think I made well enough, I thought that I did the week before this, is the importance of having a known flow of revenue that you can count on, which is what this would do. Okay, and I tried to bring up. No, I don't think it was very effective, but there was an amendment to the New Hampshire Constitution back in 1938. Okay, and what it did was it said basically that all the money for gasoline taxes, registrations, tolls, everything you can think of that had anything to do with transport roads, all that money, all those sources could only be used for the highways, not a drop it. Could be, they specifically said there's no, you know, sleight of hand or, but anyway, that's how we got the roads that we have today, right? And I think that served us well until, you know, the 90s or so, when the issues of public transportation, specifically seniors, came up. So I think a lot about this law, this $5 law, had to do with nobody's going to have the political courage to go after this 6A. the constitutional money is going to try to break a hole in that. So I think we have this, but what I was trying to do is essentially the same thing. I wanted to say, if this is gonna have this revenue coming in, it sits here, and we're gonna use specifically for this, which is what they did, 80 years ago, the same concept, but I don't think I did, I just don't think I got.
No, you
got
did
that
a great
across.
job. You really did an
Yes, I
excellent
also
job.
think I understand the concept that was proposed as the alternative, but the thing about the fee is that it's enduring. It sounds to me like the whatever X amount of money increase for this purpose is an annual thing.
Well,
How does that
in a sense it
become?
is, but it flows in every month
Yeah, yeah.
through the registration
Right.
file. But, okay, well, go ahead, Gene, I didn't mean.
Oh, okay, well, but I think in accordance with the RSA, they're really talking about that fee being used in this particular way and only.
That's the word, the key things in that is, that we put in is the $5 and that specific usage, which can only be used
Used for
for
the things that are in the RSA.
And they really liked that. They
Yeah.
seemed to like that a
Yeah.
lot. It was just how we were gonna get there, which really threw us off because
Yeah.
we really, as John said, we thought that based on what we were asked to do the last time, John formulated the first step in the warrant. It was presented to the town attorney, who then, then sent it back. So we thought we were just getting approval on this, and then a new concept came up. But
Okay, so,
But they were supportive of the idea, but not how we're gonna get there. Correct,
Okay.
John?
Yeah, we just have.
Did they have any other solutions?
Just this one.
Yeah.
You know,
Asking for
and-
the funds.
Yeah, we were expecting they might drop from the $5 down to 2 or 3,
Yeah.
which would have been a discussion, which other towns haven't, they're at the 5. But we, and it was like 11:30 and we were kinda like, oh, we just didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
But in good faith, they were discussing it and there was great energy in it, they were really
I think they
trying.
can turn this, I'm not gonna guarantee it, but I'm reasonably certain that this gentleman can be turned around to seeing what the advantages of doing it this way. And one of the things that I have thought about, which I think we could do, but I couldn't actually find any place that anybody has actually done it. I was gonna suggest that we go with the Warren article, but we add a sunset clause into it, okay? So you're familiar with sunset clause?
Yeah.
What it basically would say is, you have this warrant article, it's in effect, and you say, pick a time limit, you say, in 5 years, unless you reaffirm that you want to continue with this, it comes to an end,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
So I was thinking that would maybe, meet his requirements for not forever.
Right.
And I absolutely,
Yeah.
I absolutely sympathize with his,
Yeah,
what
it
he's
was very
talking about.
sincere, everything
Because,
was, that was
you know,
what was hard
there's a
for us
huge-
too.
Yeah.
We have lots of problems in our government, and this issue right here about having these fees and so on created, and they're just out there and they never go away, is a valid point.
It is a valid
Yeah,
point.
it is.
So, but let's not use this particular thing to push the idea. I'll volunteer to help him, because I can think of a lot of issues in Concord and laws and way departments and so on work where we have, how do I say this? If you were to throw a whole bunch of laws that have been passed in New Hampshire, just went down the bottom of the steps and pick 6 or 7, what you'll find, I think, is you'll find maybe 4 of them that are reasonably crafted, and you'll find a couple that are completely
They're
not covered, and then you have
800 now that they're going.
everybody has a
Wow.
different interpretation of them.
Yeah.
So I think there's plenty of fair game up in Concord
Yeah.
to push this issue. I mean, anyway, I won't say.
You know what I
more
would
about that.
suggest though, everyone, because you're being so wonderful to listen to, what we went through last night with it. But if you get an opportunity, as John said, it's on YouTube already, and just go right to the end. I mean, the meeting was really well done, there was a lot of good information, but if we're kind of at the end, and at least then you can kind of see where, you know, what the warrant article was, the thoughts, and then you'll have a better understanding, because it's kind of hard for us to explain it, you know? But, you know, it's like maybe 5 minutes we were up there, but, you know, and then you'll kind of see where now we've got to get to the next meeting.
You were the last ones that wasn't for me.
I think there might have been more, yeah, we were.
First of all, we're not doing a warrant article, which my opinion has about 0 chance of
Yeah,
passing.
right.
And
I agree.
secondly, it just doesn't, it's not, it doesn't work for what we want to use the money and how we want to use it for. We need to have the confidence that you can go out, you know, one of the people I wanted to speak to right away was Easter Seals. Easter Seals doesn't operate below Manchester, and try to make some kind of an arrangement for Easter Seals now. But you have to be able to say, you know, if they're gonna
You
go
have to
to
be
the
able to
trouble,
pay them.
work through a plan and everything, you can't say, well, by the way, I don't know. Because keep in mind how long it takes to get all this stuff done and
That's the
accumulate the
problem,
money.
too.
So by the time we get things going, we'll be back to working on that 2006 budget. So this is I don't know.
And
I
CART
think-
was kind of where it originated,
I-
like looking
but-
at CART too, you know, trying to support.
Anyway, I was
Yeah.
kind of surprised.
Thank you.
I feel like I should have caught this, but I didn't.
We didn't see it coming.
Okay.
We were, yeah. Well,
Anyway,
no, thank
we will
you.
prevail on.
Yeah, thank you though, thank you, Jim. I can make that motion now if you want to adjourn. I guess can I make it? Yeah, 'cause I'm not,
We already had a second to the
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
We paused.
Good job,
Now
John,
we're-
explaining it. Yeah.
Oh, put me in, coach, I'm ready.
We have maybe ought to